Are you struggling with your child's behavior? Is timeout one of the most common phrases that you're using with your children these days? I'd like to ask you, does it really work? Are you finding that when you punish your children or you give them consequences, is it working? Are they behaving in the ways that you would like them to? I want to suggest something different today. I want to give you a Montessori approach to dealing with behavioral issues. And this is, instead of a time out, we call it a time in. Now I want you to think for a minute, okay? It's so common for us as parents to constantly tell our children, when we see our children misbehaving, they're throwing a tantrum, we don't know how to deal with it, and the first thing we tell them, time out, I want you to go and sit in your room and you will think about it, and I don't want to see you till you have come to some resolution or till you realize that what you did was wrong. And we banish our children. We send them away from us when they are at their worst, when they are in an unhappy moment, when they are feeling at their lowest. How would you feel? We all have moods, we all get upset, we all have frustrations, and as adults, of course, we have different ways of acting out. But imagine when you are feeling at your saddest, when you're feeling low, and somebody banishes you and says, I don't want you near me, go away, just go and sit in a room or in a corner and think about what you've done. When they've made a mistake or when you've made a mistake, it would make you feel even worse, right? It wouldn't make you come to some kind of an understanding, but it pushes you even lower. Now, a time in is something a little bit different from that, okay? What happens in a time in, what we are asking you to do, what we'd like to suggest, is that instead of banishing and pushing your child away, is to connect with them in that moment, in this moment when they are upset. Sit with them, be with them till they are able to calm down, and then you can assess the situation together. Now, I know this is hard. I know it's difficult because they are acting out. Tell your child it's time to go home. The play date is over and we have to head home. And your child gets so upset and they say, no, I don't want to go, and I hate you, you're the worst mom, and they throw themselves on the floor, and you're upset, you get agitated, and you get angry at them, or you're stern with them, and you give them a timeout, or you give them a punishment of sorts. Maybe that's some people's way of handling it, and it only spirals and escalates the situation. Rather, what we suggest is you sit by your child, sit with them, let them calm down, look them in the eyes, and talk to them about the situation once they have calmed down. Also make sure that you have calmed down. If you need a moment to calm down, you can use that. And this is your time in. And what's happening at this time and during this time is you are connecting with your child. Connections are important when children are upset. Connections are important to help them feel heard, to feel understood, to become calm. And when they feel understood, when they feel heard, and they don't feel alienated and isolated, they're able to follow through with the rules that we are applying in whatever the situation is, right? When they feel that somebody is there for me, somebody gets me, I'm not being put down, I'm not being made to feel ashamed for my behavior, then it's easier for them to comply with the rules. Remember, when your child is having a tantrum and they're upset, they aren't doing this to upset you. They aren't setting out to annoy you. It's their way of dealing with their own frustrations. This situation is out of my control. I don't know what to do. I just want to cry and I just want to scream. And that's how they do it, because they can't manage it. You felt that way at some point too. We've all felt that way, where a situation just reaches here. I can't deal with it. I wish I could scream, but I don't, right? As an adult, we've learned how to modulate our behavior and how to control our outbursts and things like that. These young, innocent minds haven't yet. And so it bursts out in this tantrum, in this crying. And what they need is us. They don't need to be pushed away from us and sent into a corner or into a room. They need to be with us, even if their behavior was unacceptable. Once they're calm, and we look them in the eye, and they know that even in my worst moments, when we look them in the eye, they know that even in those worst moments, they're still loved and they're still cared for. Then they're able to understand. Now, you may or may not reach an understanding at that point. You could be, like I said, when you say it's time to go home and they have this tantrum and they're upset, and then they get to a calm place and you say, you know what, it's time for us to go home. We've got to have dinner, and they're upset about it. You could, make a compromise and say, okay, maybe you can have 10 more minutes to play and then we go. Or you can say, you know what, because of this, we have to think next time about whether it's a good idea to go out. But you're doing it in a calm space. Whatever decision you come to at the end of this, that's your choice based on the situation. But it should be done in a calm way, not in an angry way, not in a way where you're shaming your child or putting them down or alienating them. That is a time in. Some people feel that, this makes me a pushover. That means I'm just allowing the behavior to slide. I'm saying it's okay to behave this way. Not at all. It doesn't make you a pushover. It just allows you to connect with your child. These are common things that will happen. Children will act out. But we've got to learn to work through them. Not shut it down, but work through it. Okay? Now, this parenting is hard. We know that, all right? There are so many different solutions or suggestions that we get from out there. Ultimately, it's your choice. Ultimately, you decide what path do I want to follow, what's going to be best that works for me and my child. But there's no harm in trying this. It might just work. It might be a different alternative to your timeout. Give it a try and see how it might help your child. When we feel, as anybody, children or adults, when we feel a connection with somebody, when we respect somebody and we feel respected by them, it's easy for us to do things to please them, to make situations work well, right? Even in our workplace, when we have a boss that we really respect, we get along with, and we feel respected by this person, then there's a harmony in our relationship. When they say something, we're able to understand it. The same goes for your children. When they feel loved and heard and respected, even in difficult times, it builds a connection between you, and it's easier for them to follow the so-called rules that you're applying. So do give it a try and let us know how it works for you. This is our series on Mindful Montessori. Do subscribe to our channel. Keep coming back and we'll bring you more nuggets of Montessori wisdom. Until we meet again, have a beautiful day.